I know some group people are working, but they won't tell me what they are doing, just that they have their nose to the grindstone. I think that is positive. SSUE No. 4814 of the Iraqi Gazette was published on February 17, 2025. Quote, Law Number 4 of 2025, First Amendment to the Federal General Budget Law of the Republic of Iraq for the fiscal years 2023, 2024, 2025. No. 13 of 2023. Community comment. Great news. Has the budget been given to Parliament? Passed? The 2025 budget tables have not been sent to Parliament yet. Sadani is in control of all the timing emo. Long little article packed full of information. It suggests that Iraq is fully ready to go. They got praise from the United States Treasury, U.S. Federal Reserve. They have the best accounting, consulting firms in the world working with them. Iraq has done everything they need to do. Iraq's central bank will prohibit 5 banks from conducting U.S. dollar transactions in an effort to combat money laundering, dollar smuggling and other financial violations. This decision follows meetings in Dubai between Iraqi officials and representatives from the U.S. Treasury and Federal Reserve. While the newly sanctioned banks can still operate and conduct transactions in other currencies, the inability to access U.S. dollars severely limits their international financial activities. The only fun news I saw in the Gazette was the $16 per barrel going to Kurdistan. And the budget tables are moving forward. I got a stronger feeling every day that I wake up, that a lot of the decisions of this reform are now being done by a far better leader. Normal schedule for the Gazette is Saturdays and Wednesdays. It was published in a special edition. They published amendments that were approved. It means that they agreed upon rates for Kurdistan and oil. Now we are just looking for a rate change. Central Bank announces details of its meetings with the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. Quote, Iraq depend largely on the trust of international correspondent banks in the Iraqi banking sector. We emphasize the need to ensure that the official channels of this bank are adopted to know the latest news and not to transmit incorrect news, such as some Iraqi banks being subject to international sanctions and others. As usual, almost every report coming from Iraq has a conflicting report right behind it. Trust Sadani, not sources close to the PM. Article. Central Bank of Iraq denies sanctions. Quote, the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, has denied reports that the United States has imposed sanctions on 5 Iraqi banks, emphasizing that no such measures have been officially implemented. However, the CBI has confirmed that it will ban 5 more local banks from engaging in U.S. dollar transactions, following meetings with U.S. Treasury officials in Dubai. The CBI's denial comes amid growing speculation and conflicting reports. The President of the Republic of Iraq has signed the amendment to the budget law. It's waiting for the exposure of the exchange rate that's going to be in the Gazette. Does Iraq have a conversation with everybody before that, or at it all around the same time? It's to be determined. Obviously they haven't moved oil at 1310. They haven't paid all the salaries at 1310. They haven't exposed the budget. Obviously they're doing something trying to keep it contained till down to the wire. You can now clearly see that there has been massive corruption in Iraq, and with the US keeping the Iraqi dinar artificially suppressed. The new President Trump has a new policy towards Iraq, and it is beginning to take form. This recent move of stopping the physical dollar cash flow to Iraq is apparent. This was a huge move. I was told many times already by my CBI contact that this crisis is at the heart of why the CBI cannot set the in-country revaluation rate to what they need to conduct the project to delete the zeros. Al-Nusayri, no sanctions on Iraqi banks, and false reports cause panic. Quote, Al-Nusayri criticized the unspecialized media and unspecialized analysts who published misleading information about the alleged sanctions on Iraqi banks, saying, they have been annoying citizens for 2 days with false claims that there are sanctions on 5 Iraqi banks, and that the number will reach 37 banks. They even went so far as to promote false information about the sanction of Rafidain Bank. He considered that the official source in Iraq is the Central Bank of Iraq, and our ongoing relations with the U.S. Treasury Department and the U.S. Federal Reserve. Yeah, we have a bunch of dinars in the Federal Reserves. Let's pretend that we have 1 zillion. But when Sadani pulls the trigger, what are you going to do? You're going to run to the American banks and you're going to give them 3 zeros notes. Is the American bank going to send the 3-0 notes back to the CBI? No, those are dinar mattresses. So where are these 3-0 notes going to? The Federal Reserve, where we already have 1 zillion dinars. Now we're going to have 2 zillion dinars. A report by the American website, Tab Insight, confirmed on Tuesday that the U.S. government is drowning in corruption, debts estimated at billions of dollars, and the control of the military-industrial complex, while the national security state that promotes fear has penetrated the depths of every American's personal life, justifying its existence through the endless wars cooked up by the deep state, making it the largest corrupt society in American history. The report, which was translated by the Al-Malama Agency, stated that the American deep state with its entrenched media, think tanks, NGOs, and government contractors has demanded billions of dollars in American taxpayers to pay trillions more for wars, secret and not-so-secret arms deals with rebels, to change regimes, and undermine governments under the pretext of foreign aid. It added that the constitutional crisis caused by the massive financial corruption in the federal government looms like a giant iceberg about to sink the ship of state, and unless its course is corrected, the nation will soon perish in a sea of impotence while special interests swim like sharks to feed on America's body. Corruption has been institutionalized in the federal budget, normalized as standard operating procedure, and the waste of taxpayer money is commonplace. Trillions of dollars in wars, trillions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse, and trillions of dollars in accounting chaos. The administration writes the checks, and Congress doesn't know what the balance is. Congress, which is constitutionally required to pass the budget, puts the spending bills of all federal departments into an omnibus bill, which means overspending. Most members don't know what's in the $7.3 trillion spending bill, and those who do know don't talk. He said, "We must remember that the invasion of Iraq, which began under the Bush administration, turned into a budget fiasco filled with bribery, fraud, corruption and treason." Vice President Dick Cheney, who was CEO of Halliburton, a major defense contractor, indirectly benefited from government contracts awarded to his former company during the war, he said. Halliburton won lucrative no-bid contracts to rebuild Iraq's oil infrastructure and provide logistical support to the U.S. military, bringing in